Today we will be training on a full paper change. Now a full paper change should really never have to occur unless something goes wrong with the first paper change. So it's very important that when you do the first paper change, you just take your time and you won't have to do this. However, since it does happen occasionally, we will go over it today. Now if you look at the packager itself, it has a touch screen, and this is the screen that I have up on the monitor now. This is how the machine should look before you start dispensing. It's very important that you look at this machine before you start dispensing because it will tell you what is wrong with it, if there is anything, or if it is good to start packaging. And you'll see that it's good to start packaging because there's 3 green boxes that say it's okay to go, and there's no red boxes anywhere else. This indicates to us that it's good to start packaging and run the program. Very important that you check this first. Now, if we run into a paper situation where we need to refill the paper, we're going to see here, it's going to tell us the packing paper is empty. It's also going to tell us if the ribbon is empty, but in this case, we know it's the paper, so this is where we start changing the paper. In order to change the paper, what we first must do is obtain the key from the Omnicell or the Cubex, match it up to the correct cabinet door, which is in this case always will be the bottom one, open it, and then pull the mainframe by the handle, which you will recognize because there's a green sticker on it that says pull here. It's very important you always push and pull from that handle. Now once we have the machine open, we'll see that either the person before us or ourselves have made a mistake with the regular paper change, and therefore we do not have that right-sided tail of the paper that we normally have to seal to itself. So in order to do this full paper change, we have to route the paper entirely by hand, and it is very important that we follow these steps as I described. The correct routing of the paper is as follows. You want to make sure that the paper is coming off the roll as it is shown here underneath of the very first roller or the closest roller to the roll of paper. Then you will see it goes through the paper sensor, which tells the machine that there is paper in it, and to the outside of the next roller on its left. It then goes around to the outside of the top leftmost roller and then over the top rightmost roller. Now we need to get the paper over the ink cartridge and under the rubber roller. So it's very important it goes between the ink cartridge and the rubber roller as you see, and not above the rubber roller and in between the flat metal bar. That is a very common mistake, and that will result in packets without any printing on them. Now we have to get the roll over the next metal roller and in between the flat metal piece as you see we're doing right now. I find it easy to hold the left piece of paper with your hand as you fish the end of the paper through that small gap. So now we need to remove the plastic heat shield, and in order to do that we need to locate the 2 black thumb screws on the left of it and unscrew them. Once we can unscrew them, we can put them to the side in a place where we won't lose them, and then we can just gently lift the plastic heat shield off of the machine. It's very important that you place the heat shield on the floor in the exact orientation that it came off. This makes it much easier to put it back on. Now, it is very important with the heat shield removed that we are very careful of the heat sealers, which are the 2 rotating pieces of steel that are very hot and seal the packets. Now, we remove the black thumb screw from the funnel and put that to the side in a safe place, as well as the funnel. Now, we need to make sure that the heat sealers, which are the pieces that rotate and seal the packets, are open as they're shown and not closed, as you will see here, here, and here. That will not allow us to get the paper through, so we need to tap the forward button until there's an opening in between them like you see on the screen now. And in order to do that, you just tap the green forward button. Now we need to pull the paper so it's touching the floor and start twisting it up. By twisting the paper, we will ensure that it is stiff enough for us to maneuver through the openings in the heat sealer. So once we have it twisted, we are going to then pass it through the heat sealers, being careful because it is very hot. And now we're going to grab it from the other side, fish it through. And now there's also a scissors that is in there that I'm pointing to right now. We need to get it on the inside of that and then pull it around the foam roller. Now that we have the paper around the foam roller, what we need to do is reinstall the funnel. Now, if you'll notice, there's 2 holes and 2 nubs that stick out from where the funnel is reattached, and then we screw it back in. Now, it's very important that you notice this silicone gasket that sits inside the funnel. It has a notch on the side with the screw, and there's a notch cut out of the funnel itself. The 2 notches fit inside each other, and it is very important that they are flush and sitting perfectly. So I recommend that you run your hand along the top of the funnel just to make sure that it is seated properly, because if it is not seated properly, capsules and tablets may get stuck in between it. So please do not skip that step. Once we have the funnel installed, we will begin testing to make sure that packets are coming out. So in order to do that, what we will do is grab the tag end of the paper, and we're just going to hold it and guide the paper as we press and hold the green button. If we do not hold and guide the paper as we press and hold the green button, the paper might back up on itself and cause a big mess in the heat sealers. So again, we're just holding that tag end and guiding the paper, not really pulling it, just a very small amount of pressure to make sure it's going correctly. And once we see good packets being made, we can stop holding the green button, let go of it, and then we can press and hold the red button, which will cut the paper. And at this point, we are ready to reinstall the plastic heat shield. So I recommend, I'm doing it here the hard way, but I recommend that you screw in the 2 black thumb screws first, maybe 1 or 2 turns, and then you can gently place the heat guard back onto the thumb screws and then tighten them down. This way is just a little harder to do. And now at this point, once everything is reinstalled, we can go ahead and lift up the conveyor belt arm and push the machine back into place and make sure that the cabinet is shut and locked, and we are good to continue dispensing. I would just like to thank you for training with us today, and please, if you do have any questions, feel free to contact us on the information above. And until then, we look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.